Bum Podcast.
Between you and me.
Between you and me.
All right, so check this out. We're actually going to do a part 2 to another podcast that we've done.
Yeah, today's our first part two.
Sort of, kind of. We did some part 2s and part 2, part 3. We did the list of 25 things.
Oh, yeah, we did do that.
Yeah.
All right.
But anyway, so it's going to be a part 2 nonetheless. And before we do that, man, happy early birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah, because you got a birthday coming up.
Yeah.
I thought about doing a birthday
days.
podcast for you, but nah, we'll stick to the script.
Ooh.
Yeah, we will.
All right.
So, we did back in, I think it was June. We did a podcast about
It's called Impact Theory.
impact theory. Yeah, impact theory. Impact theory was a suggestion from one of our listeners and a good friend of mine, and he wanted to know the impact that we had on each other. And so we actually covered a few things about how our interaction together impacted those things. And so we're gonna take a little different shift, a little different view this time, and it's gonna be based upon some conversations that we've had a little earlier about impact. But this impact is not necessarily on each other, but this impact is more so on the impact on, I guess, our impact on the world,
Right.
our impact on society, our impact on the market that we're serving, I guess.
Everyday impact, but just different people you interact with and how that can grow. Just the way you have impact on the world, honestly.
Yeah.
So
And it's oddly enough, we actually had a conversation with Kelvin, who's the guy who suggested impact theory or talk about impact the first time. And
shout out to him.
Yeah, shout out to Kelvin. And one of the things that Kelvin actually said to T on the phone was, you just keep doing what you're doing because you don't know what kind of impact you're having.
Mm-hmm.
And so how did that make you feel when he said that, I guess? What did you think when he said that? Because, I mean, you typically don't feel. What did you think when he said that?
I typically don't feel.
Yeah.
It caused me to kind of sit back and think about it a little bit because, like, I know how, like, why we initially started doing the podcast and all that, and sometimes you can lose the why in how in the why for why you're doing something or the purpose behind what you're doing something as you continue to go down the line, and it starts becoming more
Like a job.
almost like a job. It starts becoming like memory.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Yeah, rote memory,
Yeah.
basically. And so sometimes it's kind of easy to fall into the pattern and just be going along with the pattern. And so it caused me to sit back and be like, let me make sure that I'm not not falling into a pattern in the past. And as I continue to go forward, like, we're really doing this for impact.
For impact
Theory. So it caused me to kind of sit back and think about that. Like, yeah, this is just remain present and remember the why is basically what it is.
Which is why I think that the why was the biggest question, which is what actually led us to coming back and talking about impact theory again. For me, like, I enjoy doing this. For me, it's effortless. And it's effortless, first of all, because, again, and this was like one of my whys of why I wanted to do this, is because we have the opportunity to interface with each other.
Right.
And we have the opportunity to get some conversation out there. And so that's like one of my biggest whys. And so I know for me, once a week, I have an opportunity to sit down with you for 30 minutes and just like hash out some stuff in real time. And so I never lose sight of that why. And because I never lose sight of that why, I always look forward to these opportunities. And so how it impacts others is a byproduct of that. And so I know when we were talking earlier about the whole why thing and a little about purpose and our paths, and we talked a little bit about becoming terminal. It gets a little overwhelming when you think your goal, or when you adopt the goal of, I guess, impacting people, or you adopt the goal of changing people, or you adopt the goal of impressing people, or you adopt the goal of entertaining people. It becomes a little overwhelming because then it puts a whole weight on your shoulder about what you actually have to do.
Right.
And so that's why I think it's most important to remember the why, because in remembering the why, then everything that happens as a result of that why becomes your impact. It's just almost residual, but you still enjoy what you're doing because you don't put that extra pressure on you.
And I know we even talked about me personally, and kind of my experience with kind of keeping up with the why, and we talked about me with music, and I talked about how like I've been doing music for so long,
Yeah.
like beating on stuff from two, piano lessons at five, all the way to now. I'm pursuing a music degree, and I've been blessed to be surrounded with people that supported me in that, and but also a byproduct of that was sometimes I started to get lost in the support of it. Like music became about almost like a production. Music had the ability for me to start thinking about, well, I'm doing this and people are looking at me to be doing this or doing this a certain way, and it's easy to lose that, but I'm doing this to impact people in each and every day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of easy when you're kind of seeing a place where you're supposed to be at, or like um a certain standard that you want to set and all that kind of thing. Sometimes you have to remember in everything that you do, like, why are you doing this?
Mm-hmm.
What started this? What is your purpose for doing this? And for me, music is music was an expression, to help me express and to help other people express through the music that I created. And so kind of having a moment to recollect and really go, music isn't a performance.
Right. Right.
Like you may perform with your music, you may entertain with your music, or talking for me, I may perform with my music or entertain with my
'Cause I don't
music.
do music.
Yeah, but like why did I start doing music and kind of getting back to that place, and just kind of talking about that whole mindset of impact isn't a destination, or your
Right.
purpose isn't a destination, and
It's a
all that.
journey.
It's a journey. It's an everyday thing. You should be finding a way you're allowing yourself to free flow and cause
Right.
impact in your everyday life. So,
So I'm going to take a strange left turn,
all
right?
right.
A strange left turn because as you were talking, I mean, something just overtook me. I mean, like I mentioned, like your birthday's coming up. Your birthday's on Tuesday, August 11th, and I didn't want to necessarily make this a birthday show,
Yeah.
but something just hit me. Like being your father has been effortless. I mean, now I ain't saying it ain't been without it bumps and bruises. Like I ain't
I
saying like
think I'm gonna take a bow for that one.
yeah, you can take a bow for that, but I mean, I ain't gonna say I haven't had like headaches and stuff. Like, I mean, I got a patch on top of my head. I think you made me pull my hair out right now. But what I mean by that is, like, I had a why in the very beginning.
Right.
Like, I had a why, and because I had a why, it allowed me to be fluid in being your father, and it's cool because like it's not something that I actually set out for. Like, it wasn't that I set out to teach. I mean, to coach basketball. Like
Right.
I mean I never I mean I played basketball intramurally. I'm not a good basketball player, right?
Not very much.
But I coached you in basketball. It's not that I set out to be a soccer coach. I mean I played soccer in high school, but I mean I wouldn't say I'm Pele or whoever y'all would call, you know, whoever y'all Beckham or whomever the up and coming people are now. I mean
Yeah.
I definitely wouldn't be them, but I coached you in soccer and what else? I coached you in football. And I did play football. I never set out to coach you in football, but I coached you in football, and it wasn't a big deal. I carry your bags as a musician. I manage you as a DJ. Like none of these were things that I signed up
Right.
to
You
do.
would have initially
Yeah,
thought
you
you
know
were
what I'm saying.
doing.
That's not something I initially thought I was doing. But my why was I wanted to make sure that we had the greatest relationship throughout our life. That was my why, and so because that was my why, I didn't necessarily have to focus on the things that I was doing.
Right.
I just kept focusing on the fact that right now, what would be the best thing to do to make sure we maintain a good relationship? Oh, he needs his bag to be carried. Let me carry his bag. Oh, he wants to play football. Well, why don't I coach football?
Right.
And that kind of thing. And so it just further illustrates how that knowing that why makes everything else effortless. And I think we've pulled off quite a few feats
Because of that,
as a duo just because of that why. And so that's exciting for me, even just sitting here thinking about it as you rising on your birthday, just thinking about it from the beginning. Like I knew before you came into this world, like I wanted to be like I wanted to always be in relationship with you. And not that I always wanted you to be happy with me, not that I always wanted to make you happy, but I always wanted you to know that I loved you. And I always wanted you to know that I'd be there for you. And so that was my why. And that's what has kept me, I mean, doing all the different things that I do for you.
That's just talking about knowing your why, it helps you to flow. That's always something that I try to focus on and try to remember. And I know even like before Not exactly in the sense, but you talked about the whole having a goal. Like, how do you win a game without a goal?
Right, right.
So it's like even with soccer, like if you're playing soccer, if there's no goal, if you don't know where to shoot at, then how do you play the game? It's kind of that same thing. You want to know your why, or you're kind of just aimlessly kicking the ball around the field. And so really knowing why you're doing something, like you said, like you knew what your purpose and your intent was in being my father.
Right.
And so as things flow and things change and all that, you're able to adapt to that change and move with that change because you keep sight and you keep focus on what's your why, what's your purpose for being in this venture. And so honestly, that's just like a great way to be in life. And even finding and even like the revelations I've been having recently about life and I guess even my pursuits, like going through school and all of this, like keep keep touch of that why. And I've been trying to keep um just keep my eye on my purpose for doing things to help me kind of navigate in a world that's it's so foggy, so cloudy.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
so many distractions, so many things to pull you this way and that way. And so recentering yourself
And so one
sometimes.
thing, and I don't remember what I said it earlier. You said it earlier. It was the whole being terminal thing. And so
Hmm.
just for the listeners, I have this thing, I was when T and I was talking about it. I was saying that I feel down on the job as far as this is concerned with him. When I'm talking to youth, I'm always saying stop being terminal because people always push toward this terminal end. Like,
Right,
what
this
do you want
carrot,
to
this
be,
all of that.
right? And so I always say I replace be with do. Like, what do you want to do? Because if you want to do something, you can do it no matter what you become. And
Right.
so I was telling T, like, don't be so terminal. I mean, I tell people not to be so terminal, but I never told him not to be terminal. And
Mm.
so he's always said, I'm moving toward this goal, and I've always tried to help facilitate him toward this goal. And so as far as people who may be listening in and thinking about just um, that whole terminal piece. Just enjoy the journey.
Right.
Enjoy the journey. Understand the why. Know why you're doing something, and understand that you don't have to call what you're doing something in particular. Because in
Mm.
all honesty, it could be something you created for the very first time. And
Right.
so just get in touch with that why, and and it helps. It helps. And so that's what that whole terminal piece is. And the other thing is, it goes directly in the face of the impact. And I was asking T earlier, it was a whole Starfish story,
Right. Right.
and it was a man walking on the beach. The way the story goes, and I can't tell it perfectly, but a man walking on the beach, and he kept coming upon these starfish and throwing them back in the water. And somebody walked up to him and asked him, why are you taking your time to throw a one starfish in the water? There are millions of starfish on the beach. You're never gonna I guess make an impact or make a
Yeah.
difference. And he picked up a starfish and threw it in the water and said, I made a difference to that one. And that's what impact looks like. And so often for us, we wait, well, we try to wait, or we think that we need to attain something or get to a platform or be somebody that people revere in
Right.
order to make an impact. And it's really just not true. Like every day we're making impact. I mean, it could be a negative
Mm-hmm.
impact, but every day we're making impact, and every day we have a platform, and we don't know who's watching us or listening to us or
Mm-hmm.
interacting with us.
And it's even like with me in school and meeting a bunch of students, all different places, coming to my school, and you hear a lot of, "I want to do this in order to be this. I want to become a doctor in order to save lives, or I want to become," I mean, just like anything like that. And in essence, there's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that at
You
all.
have your goal, you know where you're trying to be and what you're setting out to do and why you want to do that. But it's easy to get lost in that. But until I get there, I can't be
I
making
can't
that
do
same
anything else.
impact.
Right? Yeah, yeah.
And so every day we have impact. Every day we can save lives. Just going off of that same example, um, whether it's through something you say that you don't even think about,
An
or something
innocent
you do
word.
that someone you don't even notice this person, but they saw you do something and it made an impact on their life. And so just live life on purpose.
Right, yeah. And it's funny because you know what? Honestly, we probably never know all the impact that we have.
No, definitely
Honestly.
can't know.
It's like, so if you think about it, um, when you come to the end of your life, if there was a room full of people that have seen you and seen what you've done, and they tell you the impact you had, it will blow your mind. It will really blow your mind. And so the goal really should not be, I guess, to have impact. The goal should be to have purpose, have fun, right?
Do things on purpose.
Do things on purpose, and then in the process, you'll have impact at the end of the day. And again, I'm big on purpose, and it's like we're created to be here for a reason. And so when we find out why we're here, and we operate on that why we're here, it kind of everything else goes on autopilot. If we just again stay full, fresh, and functional on our why we're here.
And even going off of that kind of same idea of everything you do has purpose. And this might be kind of left field or out of the way, but I feel like your life is your testimony, your experience helps other people. And so even knowing we're all here for a purpose, we're all here, we all have impact. And we don't, it's easy to get lost in seeing what you think other people are doing and things like that. And you forget about the fact that you too have impact. And even through life, because we all know life has ups, life has downs, life goes this way and that way. All of everything you go through, all of that life experience can be used to impact other people in a positive way. Yeah, just even like think about my life, like things that I never, like either I didn't think about being a big deal or I've done this and it was just natural to me, but it impacted somebody else so much, or it was something that even could have been negative for me,
Right?
or like something that, like it took me like something happened and it took me away from doing something else, and maybe I really wanted to do this, but I ended up over here instead, and realizing that I still have impact. Like this happened for a reason. I had impact over here. Just because I'm not going down the lane that I foresaw for myself,
Right.
or something's not going exactly how I had planned out in my head. I mean, because things sometimes change. We really don't have that full control over where our lives go. We have impact in our life. Your life experience is your impact.
And I think that's interesting that you put it that way because I mean, like what you're saying, it makes sense to me. And so I want to clarify. I mean, I want to add some clarity to it, even for myself. Because as you were saying, I'm like, oh man, hold on, let me think about that for a minute. Because like people will say, well, I set goals, and then I wrote out my goals, and I wrote out how to get to my goals, and it's like, yeah. And so you're telling me now that if you don't follow your goals, then you're not doing what you're supposed to do. No, that's not necessarily what we're saying. Goals are markers.
Right.
Goals are checkpoints.
Having a plan is important.
It's important.
It helps you keep moving forward.
It helps you keep moving forward.
But
right.
It's not always the end all be all.
It's not the end all be all. That's the thing. The thing is like you even in your being goal focused or goal oriented, being fluid. Because the truth is the universe gives us things sometimes to make life easier. Right. But if it don't look like what we wrote down on paper, we say, nah, that ain't for me. And it's like the real truth is, I mean, are you still in your why, and are you still moving in the direction in which you envision? Right. And if those two things can be answered, then what difference does it make? Like, I mean, it's almost like if I need to go from here to Hampton, right? And we're blessed enough to have 3 vehicles, right? We got a Equus, we got a Acadia, and we got a Mustang. And so I could set out, say, okay, T, we're gonna get up in the morning, we're gonna go to Hampton. And we're going to leave at 6, and we need to get there by 9. That's right, about enough time. And so we walk outside at 10 minutes to 6, and the Equus has a flat tire, right? Does that disrupt our day? Does that disrupt our journey? No, our goal is to take 3 hours to get to Hampton. Right. And instead of getting in the vehicle of the Equus, we can get in the vehicle of the Acadia. Ain't nothing changed. I mean, the way we feel about the ride may change, but that's attitude. And we can adjust attitude. It doesn't change the route that we're taking. It doesn't take the place that we're going, and it doesn't take the time that we need to get there.
I would say it's almost like the avenue.
Right.
Like you might not be making it to that place in the way that you envision, but just because something didn't happen the way that you had first planned out for it to be doesn't mean that you just can't end up in the place where you had foreseen yourself.
Right.
Because it's not happening the way that you thought it would happen.
And I think that's what happens with a lot of people. A lot of people, they get frustrated. because of change, or frustrated because things don't seem the same way. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're not going to get where you're planning on going. Again, and you might be able to get there easy because the best plan that you came up with is based upon your knowledge.
Right.
And we all know that our knowledge is not infinite. Our knowledge is very finite, and it's finite based upon our exposure.
Right.
And it's based upon our exposure and our experience. And there are better ways to get places than we know of. Worse ways as well. Right. But I mean, there are other ways. And if we're just fluid about it, we can utilize those ways, because at the end of the day, even our attitude about change has impact.
Right. I mean, yeah, you hit the nail on the head. When you think about the fact that every day you have impact, it kind of makes it easier to not get lost in the change.
Yeah.
My, like, the impact I want to make, the purpose that is for me or for my life isn't a destination.
It's not a destination.
It's not that thing out there. So something that might seem to take me off the path of that vision I had out there, you still have impact day to day. And that's where your real purpose is, in the day to day, not in the offsets of the future, not in just what you're striving to achieve and reach for. Your life is your impact.
And it's funny, just, I mean, real briefly, again, I'm thinking about when you're saying that, and I think about like as an artist, and as an artist, your true fans are your fans that you gain in the beginning,
right? That
you gain through the journey. It's not the ones you gain after you get platinum.
It's the people that know your story.
It's the people that know your story. And I'm a fan of growing with people, and we've had that conversation, because those are people you can have impact on their life. Because once they've already gotten $1 million check, or once they've already gotten the platinum or gold or whatever they get, it's hard to have an impact.
It kind of separates the that like personal touch almost.
Yeah.
Because I feel like when we have people that get to a certain status, we almost, especially with like the way the media is and social media and all of that, it's almost like we remove the humanity of them. We remove the fact that they're also human. All we know is that they're out of touch or out of reach of us. And so it's almost like, oh, they're no longer human. And like, I know I definitely had experiences. I feel like everybody could, but I know I definitely have, of just knowing somebody for the accomplishments or the stature that they've reached at a certain level, but then I've gone back and learned their stories and where they started from and how they got there, and gained so much more respect for that person. And so your story matters.
Right, and because that's where the impact comes in.
Right.
And so I guess at the end of the day, if you're waiting to hit a plateau, or if you're waiting to hit a stage, or if you're waiting to hit a peak to start having impact, don't look at it that way. The impact is in the journey.
Every day.
The impact's in the journey, is in every day. And so, again, this is Bum Podcast, talking about impact theory 2.
Part 2.
Just how we letting everybody know that we all have impact. Talking about, our impact.
Impact.
You have impact.
Yes.
It's all about impact. And so, if you got any questions, hit us up, bum@clarencetbrown.com. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to see or leave a comment. We love if there are any subjects that you want us to touch on, let us know. We'd be glad to dive into them. All right, so Bum Podcast, between you and me, pre-birthday celebration for Clarence T. Brown III, which is August 11th. Ain't that deep. It is that deep. It's that deep, bro. But between you and me,
Bum Podcast.
Holla.